The municipality of North Cypress-Langford is located to the south of Neepawa, bordering the town on three sides and stretching south past Carberry as far as Shiloh to the west and Edrins to the east. Total population for the area is 2,860, with a land area of 1,762 square kilometers within 6 wards. This month, the municipality of North Cypress-Langford looked at municipal crime statistics, land and environmental issues around a new lagoon, and various repairs on municipal properties. Representation from the Spruce Plains Detachment, which covers the northern portion of the municipality, presented an update to Council covering the past 6 months between May and November. Of the 417 reported occurrences, 356 of those were traffic violations and only 5 were crimes against persons. He also outlined the new immediate roadside prohibition program, which can be used after a roadside screening for alcohol or cannabis and carries many of the same penalties as a DUI, but does not carry a criminal charge, getting the officer back on the road faster. Fall brings around the Safe Schools program as well, where in preparation for any incidents within the school, detachments update their contact lists, blueprints for the school, and photos of the interior. The representative also addressed questions from Council around 911 response times, the legalities around drone usage, dealing with campers and squatters on Crown land, and potential cattle rustling. A second delegation from Nature Conservancy Canada brought Council information on a piece of land to the northeast side of the Langford Community Pasture that they have recently acquired. The process they take with new properties is to continue with historic grazing practices on the land for the first 2 years while they gather information about the ecosystem. And where they can, they continue those renter relationships. If the renter did want to release the land, they indicated it would be a good candidate to become a part of the community pasture. In planning matters, the main conversation was around a lagoon that has recently been constructed without the proper permits in place. This was brought to the planning district's attention at the last council meeting, and they have spent the last month assessing the situation and trying to catch the paperwork up to the already constructed project. As for how this happened in the first place, it looks like a case of miscommunication, where the landowner believed they had all the documents they needed to proceed. However, the project did not meet all of the municipality's requirements, and so the lagoon cannot be put into use until the proper conditional use and variation orders are circulated for comment and passed. If they are not passed, the landowner is facing having to redo a substantial portion of already completed work. Finally, a recent meeting of the Veterinary Board brought up an impending financial need, as the plumbing in the building is older and will probably need to be replaced in 4 to 5 years. Because that replacement would almost completely wipe out the current reserve fund, they're recommending that each of the 5 partner municipalities in the facility contribute $1,000 to $2,000 a year for the next 5 years to fund the expense. On the flip side of funding, however, they report there is a grant available right now for large animal equipment, and the vet clinic can use some outdoor handling facilities, so they will be looking into it. Also covered during this meeting are new fees at the Carberry Transfer Station, municipal shop repairs, gravel purchases, and directional boring versus open cuts when crossing machinery roads. Following is the Municipality of North Cypress-Langford's November meeting in its entirety.
Resolution 276, 2023, be it resolved that the financial statement for October 23rd be referred to Council. Can I have a mover, please? Malcolm, seconder. Davidson. Copy of all the checks in front of you there. If anybody has any questions, they would mail.
This is Dale, your financial I sent out in an email.
They were sent out?
Yep.
I do want a meeting. I was kind of waiting on to see who was all around by the time end of November hit, so I'll be sending out an email right away for a meeting, a finance meeting,
Okay.
so we can get our ducks in a row for next year. Okay.
Any other questions on it? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Resolution 277, 2023, be it resolved accounts check number 30074 to check number 30134 totaling $228,297.09 and direct deposits withdrawals totaling $98,383.11 be approved for payment. Can I have a mover, please?
Give Dallas one.
It's,
Oh, you lost her?
well, I
Okay.
don't know what's going on.
Sorry.
Have a mover, please? Yeah.
Okay,
Harold and Malcolm?
yeah,
Sorry.
No,
Any
that's okay.
questions on your, or on that?
nice if technology works.
All in favor? Opposed? Carried, thank you. Rachel's not here either. That's up to 10 o'clock anyway.
Do you want to go up front, check the phone?
They know to send them back,
Okay.
so yeah, you can actually just open it, Grant, and then you can
Okay.
just come back. I was just saying, Darren, that I have the statement of assets and disclosures that you have to fill out by the end of November. It's in your
Okay.
bin, just a reminder.
Yeah.
Okay.
Where do we want to move to here?
We can go to your bylaws if you want to.
Transfer station?
Yeah. On page 2, if you want to go to that one, yep.
Bylaws, A, bylaw number 12, 2023, Carberry Transfer Station. Resolution 283, 2023, be it resolved that bylaw number 12, 2023, to set the Carberry Transfer Station fees and charges hereby be read a first time, be referred to council. Can I have a mover, please?
Davidson.
Seconder? Harold?
I did send an email about this, so we are just reflecting Evergreen's charges.
Recording in progress.
Now there comes my computer back on. So our old bylaw that it wasn't old, we just passed it actually last year to reflect the roll-off charges for the Carberry transfer station. So the only change I've made to the bylaw is adding, or just changing it's to 88.25, which is what Evergreen is charging
Yeah.
per ton. So if that makes sense, I think, and my understanding is that they are doing, they're approving a budget, I think, to pass these the Evergreen charges. I don't know if you have been done that, or they
Haven't
will
done
be
that
doing
yet,
that.
no.
So I just want to make sure that we're charging, like we're not losing money, right, on that. So I'm reflecting what they're charging, and that was really the only change. If anybody has any questions, because we will be posting, I think they're saying December, well, they'd like to post in January the new rates for when they go up to dump, because they're now going to be taking payments out there. So if you bring construction waste, they'll weigh you and then they'll charge you right there. So anyway, if anybody had questions, let me know, but that's what that bylaw is about.
Any more questions on that? All in favor? Opposed? Carried, thank you. Is this any unfinished business or waiting?
Sure.
Joint resolutions, resolution 284, 2023, be it resolved that the joint committee hire Chris Norquay as the joint utility employee with details outlined in the employment letter. And further be it resolved that the cost be shared 50-50 between the town of Carberry and the municipality of North Cypress-Langford. Can I have a mover, please?
Grant.
Or seconder, Malcolm. Everybody understand what was going on there with that joint control? Is there any discussion on that, Trish?
So we hired Chris Norquay. He worked for 4 days and then he took another position. So now we have a new hire. You'll see it in the next couple of resolutions. We have another hire for that position as well. So yeah, it was a quick turnaround.
Any more questions around the table? All in favor? Opposed? Carried, thank you.
Some technical difficulties. So
Technology.
yeah, I'm gonna do this so that that's not shining on you. There. How are you this morning?
Good, how are you doing?
Good. You ready for him then?
I think we are close enough, right?
Okay, yeah. I think I lost Alice, so I was trying to get her back on, but
Might as well pull right up to the front chair, you're up.
Okay.
Center, go ahead.
Morning, everyone.
good morning.
I actually have some handouts for everyone here.
Right. I'll just pass them on. Make sure that's all the same.
Highway's a little better, too?
Yeah, it's really nice. If we could just stay like this for the rest of winter, we'd be laughing.
Pretty wicked for oil, wasn't it?
Yeah.
30 days of plus though, right?
Yeah, shortens the winter up a little bit. Yeah, so this statistical report that I handed out, these are the stats from May 1st to November 6th for the RM. And this is for just the portion that the Spruce Plains RCMP covers for the RM. So apologize, a nice colorful map, but it's a little bit hard to read because the print is really small. So maybe what I'll do is I'll just email it and you can pull it up on the computer. I can't figure out how to make it bigger. So yeah, so just looking over the last basically summer months, it was, I would say, fairly typical. 417 occurrences. Large portion of that is traffic. So 356 traffic offenses. So when we say traffic offenses, that's you know, like speeding tickets and everything. So that's also like, that's our detachment, but that's also our traffic services numbers as well. So we have like Westman Traffic Services that patrol basically all of southwestern Manitoba. So when they're in the RM and those tickets that they're writing, that would be reflected in these stats as well. So really overall, only 5 crimes against persons. So that's like assaults, things like that. Only 10 reported property crimes. So that's like your break and enters, thefts, 3 drug enforcement, 4 criminal code. And so these stats too, another thing about them is that you could have one occurrence where you have multiple incidents in one thing. So example, like a call of an assault, and when we went to arrest the person, they have drugs on them. That would be like an assault and a drug offense on here. So yeah, that looks pretty good for, in my perspective, like not crazy busy for us, which is a good thing. And feel free to stop me at any time. So just for this previous month, month of October, again, kind of with the stats, we had 21 traffic-related offenses and 1 reported mischief. So not a lot of calls for service, which is good. Staffing-wise, with our HR, that's something that everyone always wants to know, and usually the tough part to talk about, but I'm happy to say that we're basically fully staffed. We are short 1 corporal position out of the Minnedosa office. The position's been filled, but the member that was promoted is currently in our Winnipeg Major Crime Unit, and he's having a little difficulty selling his house. So sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't, and we've had cases where the outgoing member is having trouble selling their house and they stick around longer than expected, and then sometimes we lose out where the person coming in is taking a little longer. So that was finalized in the spring, and when I initially talked to him, he said, oh yeah, I'll be here by June, and then it was, I'll be here by December, and now we're crossing our fingers January. So they're working on it, but we had 2 of our officers transfer out. 1 went to Churchill and 1 went to Thompson, the forensic unit. But right almost the exact same time as they were leaving, we had 2 members come in, experienced officers, 1 from Chemawawa and Easterville in the north, and 1 came from Gibsonville. So yeah, it works out fairly well. We did lose one of our municipal employees, the like detachment service assistant from Nipowa. So she resigned and went back to her old job, and that position's vacant at the moment. So as far as the priorities, like when we met there, I guess in the spring, we talked about what the RM would like to see, and kind of in discussions we said we'd like to have enhanced road safety, so a lot of the traffic, crime prevention, crime reduction, and then just communication. So starting off with road safety. So things we've been focusing on are high-risk driving infractions. So stop signs, speeding, the intersection, cell phones, things like that. So I have the numbers for the whole area. I didn't break it down specifically, or not at the start here, but we had 548 charges issued during this reporting period. So that would have been from April 1st until the end of September. So that's like the first basically half our fiscal year runs from April 1st to March 31st.
Right.
We set up 5 physical check stops, so that's like actually like police cars on the side of the road with police officers out stopping every single vehicle. One of the other things we were doing is we're focused on impaired driving. So now we're authorized to be able to do roadside screening device, so everyone we stop, if we want, we can put them on a roadside breathalyzer. Prior to, we used to have reasonable grounds to believe that they had been drinking, whereas now we're authorized to just put them on. So that was kind of came in with the legislation with cannabis and things like that. So they're trying to keep the numbers of impaired driving down. So we've been using that more. This from basically April 1st until the end of September, we did 190, approximately 190 roadside breath samples. 3 drivers were charged with impaired driving, and we had 6 drivers receive immediate roadside prohibition for having over the legal limit. So the numbers have went up because some of the lower level readings we may have been missing before. If, someone's good at masking it and you stop them and it's a brief interaction, maybe you miss it. Whereas now you put them on a quick check and it basically gives you the results. So the immediate roadside prohibition is something that the Manitoba government introduced, and it's similar to some legislation in BC where it's effectively like an impaired driving charge, but it's not criminal. So there's really steep fines, they lose their license. From our end of things, it's basically just a couple of quick forms to fill out and we're back on the road. So we don't have lots of time where officers are spent in the office doing breath tests. And prior to this, our officers would spend like several hours in the office off the road. Now if they get someone, they can be back on the road in 10 or 15 minutes, the vehicle's towed, and the person will receive the punishment more through the licensing side of things. But with that, there's certain caveats, like they have to have a license, they can't have had a previous impaired, not involved in a collision, or where there's someone that's like any bodily harm, things like that, we wouldn't use that. So that would just be the simple, like there's no aggravating factors on it. For the objective to reduce and prevent crime, so I know I discussed previously, but we have what we call an offender management program. And so when we have individuals that are responsible for a large portion of the crime, and it's often our repeat customers that they commit all the break and enters, or they're involved in drugs, things like that, they're identified as kind of like our top priority. If we can get them on conditions where there's like curfews or things like that, then we pay extra special attention to them, do lots of curfew checks, sometimes twice in a night or more. And the purpose is just basically to keep them accountable. So either A, they follow their conditions, or they end up going back to jail ultimately if they're not following those conditions. And we're pretty frank with them. We go to the door right at the first instance and let them know that they're responsible for a large portion of our crime and our calls, and we're going to be paying close attention. And basically the options are follow the rules or end up back in jail, or ultimately move away to a different area. And oftentimes when they do move away, we give our local detachment there a call and let them know that they got a new guest in their community. So with that, we had 11 subjects during this reporting period. There was a total of 45 curfew checks. It did result in a number of arrests for failing to abide by conditions. Some of the subjects, they fled, and we basically have warrants for. We have trouble tracking them down, and some of them, they have been held in custody since. So it kind of goes like sporadically. We'll do a bunch of checks, and the vast majority of them, they are complying with the conditions. But oftentimes if they do miss, then sometimes they flee to other provinces or whatever. And so the warrant gets issued and we continue looking for them. And part of that too, so part of the reduce and prevent crime, we have the offender management on one end. The other side is the crime prevention. So we're trying to set up larger scale crime prevention things. So one of the big things around the area, and it's consistent right across our whole area, is the phone scams. So we're getting, and I'm sure everyone in this room's probably had one, emails, phone scams, things like that. Some of them are really good, some of them are not so good. So we're trying to put out stuff to the local media, just, these are some of the scams. We're encouraging people to go on the Canadian Anti-Fraud Center. It has, if you go on the website, just Google Canadian Anti-Fraud. they have all like a big list of all the current scams that are going on. You can read about them, and they stay up to date, probably the best. Really good information on there, so we're encouraging people to go on. We also working with local gas stations. We had of course, with the high price of gas, we've had some people filling up and then taking off, no pay for gas. So trying to work with them for things like surveillance, talking about it's their business, but talking about if they want to have like pay before you pay at the pump or pay before, and I know it's inconvenient, but little things like that, it saves us a lot of time as opposed to having to try to track people down and that. So. And finally, the communication port. So part of that is just I stop in every month at each RM, try to have a quick discussion to see if there's any emerging issues, and also like attend the council meetings, and I guess just being available to try to answer, if there is issues going on. Like I'd rather hear about it right away and kind of nip it in the bud. So.
No, you've been here every month, so that's good.
Yeah, and so the total calls, it does show that it's down a little bit, 227 calls. And like I said, if you're wondering why the numbers don't quite match up with the this sheet I put out, it's because those are the 227 are actual like calls for service or like a incident. But in some of those incidents, there might be multiple like offenses in there. So in the end, we had 3 reported. The IRP on the impaired driving part, that's what I talked about with that immediate roadside prohibition. So seems to be more of those are being utilized. It's kind of good and bad. The good is that it gets our officers back on the road really fast, so you're able to stop more vehicles and do more enforcement to get more impaired drivers off the road. Just some of the trends and points of interest. So we did have stolen vehicle here from the RM in June. We recovered it near Hamiota, and we were able to identify them through forensics, and we have warrants out for their arrest. So the recovered vehicle was processed. Fortunately, we found some good forensic evidence to tie up some suspects. We did have a vehicle that was stolen from the RM, this RM. It was later involved in an armed robbery with a firearm out near kind of the Amaranth-Sandy Bay area. We were able to track them down, and we ended up engaging in a pursuit. And fortunately, we were able to arrest the 2 subjects safely, recovered the stolen vehicle, and we got the subjects in custody. We also did 2 search warrants for investigations relating to the RM. One was uttering threats involving a weapon, and the other was in relation to recklessly discharging a firearm. In both cases, we were able to recover firearms and evidence relating to the offenses. And also in the summer, there was a little bit of made the news a little bit there, but we had a request for assistance from the Niagara Regional Police. They were reporting to us that there was a female that was abducted, and they believed to be in our area. So we went out, and right away we located the vehicle that they were believed to be in and engaged in an attempted traffic stop. They didn't stop, and they fled on in the vehicle at fairly high speeds. But we were able to intercept them, get in front, and get the spike belts out, and able to stop them. So we basically safely recovered the female in the vehicle, and tracked down the subject a little later on. And he's still in custody since then, and probably will stay in custody for some time. He was definitely one of our, I will say, offender managers. I think he had 70 or 80 criminal convictions and had spent somewhere in around the 15 years of his life in jail. So well known to police, and I think he's where he should be.
Good job.
Thank you.
And then the only other thing is just in the fall, we have a program we call the Safe Schools program. It basically happens right across Canada, and it's basically just preparing for any event that would happen at the school. So we update all our contact lists. We have blueprints of all the schools. We have some photos of the insides, things like that. So if there was ever an event at the school, we try to keep like a database of all the updated information. So officers that are responding can get up-to-date information. We can have our telecoms operators, like our dispatchers, can pull up and give them advice on like who to contact, key holders, things like that. So every fall when it kind of rolls back into the school season, we reach out to all the schools in the area and try to update all that.
That's awesome.
Good.
So yeah, that's kind of the end of my spiel, but definitely, if anyone has any questions or anything, I'd like to.
Just one, and it's not to do with the police, more with 911 and the fire. We had a fire out in a neighbor had a fire, phone 911, and they sat on hold for 5 minutes or something like that. Is that normal with 911, or is that a isolated incident, or?
I'd like to think it's isolated. So what happens when around this area is if you dial 911, it'll go to the provincial 911 system in Brandon. And normally I guess it depends on call volume and that. And so a lot of times when dispatch, it's largely based on for example, if there was some sort of large scale incident and you have let's say on number 1 highway and you have 15 or 20 people all dialing 911 at the same time, it all goes to the same center. And so chances are you're going to have the one operator or 2 operators or whatever, and they're going to be filling in. Some of those people are going to end up on hold, right? Doesn't mean that we're not dispatching someone to the call. It's just sometimes it's going to be a hold because you can't have 50 operators there most of the time standing around with nothing to do kind of thing. So I'm guessing maybe that's what it is. I'm not sure. And it could be 2 in the morning versus 5 o'clock in the evening. They're probably getting more calls kind of thing. So it largely depends on that. But the way it works for us is the 911 call goes to Brandon. They can dispatch fire and EMS right away, and then they call our call center to basically get police on the line and get us going. So but there's usually a little bit more of a delay on 911 calling, getting the police, than it is for fire EMS.
Okay. Good, thank you. Anybody else got any questions for him? Go ahead.
What can be done, or is there anything about a drone flying over somebody's property? Somebody sees one, they don't know whose it is, and it's recurring?
Yeah, there is quite a few rules. I can't say I'm fully up on them, but it relates to Transport Canada. I'd have to look it up. If it's anything to do with commercial, you have to have a license, and you have to have flight plans and things like that logged. If it's just recreational, it has to be away from airports. It can't be over people's properties. I don't believe you can use them inside town. I think you're supposed to, they have to be the laws relate to different sizes. So if it's over a certain size, you have to have, more a license or registration or whatever on them. And I believe you're supposed to have your contact information on the drone, but there's technology that's kind of advancing pretty fast, and I don't know if all our laws are fully keeping up. So I know recently they introduced a whole bunch of legislation to it. We don't get a lot of calls on it.
What happens if the property owner were to shoot it down on their
Well, I can't say go ahead and do it. I don't know. I guess that would have to be looked at as to, the 2 wrongs don't make a right kind of thing. So it's kind of one of those things of maybe it shouldn't be on the property, but that's.
Actually, I was warned that it's the same as firing at an aircraft. You get into real trouble with it. Because we had an incident where,
I think I asked that question last time you
Yeah.
were here, so would you get up to speed and we'll fill in next time?
Sure, yeah, and what I could do is I could look up some of the rules and just email them off to basically pass off to. I know it does fall under Transport Canada, and like I said, we don't get a lot of calls relating to it, but it does seem to be coming up more and more, so it would be worthwhile to.
I remember a few years ago, Suskins branch was here, Gerard, from Minnedosa, and they were starting to use drones to scout yards.
Yes, I was gonna say.
And it was controversial at that point as well.
Well, we do have a drone program as well. We call it RPAS, remotely piloted aircraft. And in fact, even last week, we were using it for search of missing person, and we're able to send it up. It's only limited use, we're not using it for surveillance or things like that. It's more for search and rescue or some type of tactical operations. But it has a thermal imager camera on it, and but even with that, they have to have pilots' licenses, training. They have to log a flight plan with Transport Canada.
So would they be following the road network or the grids mainly?
Well, I believe that we have some exemptions to be able to use, but at the end we have to, our pilots have to be trained. It is for commercial use, and when they're done, they do have to submit a flight plan. So there's obviously we can't submit it in restricted airspace, and we wouldn't submit it, like, send it up by an airport or things like that. So, yeah, there's certain height regulations and that on them. I'm not 100% sure what that is. And
Maybe they'll have something on Transport Canada website too, I could look at.
yeah, I'm sure like it'll be the same right across Canada, and I know it's increasing more and more. There's been a few things in the news where drones, especially around airports or in big cities, where they've caused issues. So
Problems.
I just had one other question. Public crown land, people squatting on it, camping on it, like, is there anything that can be done about that, or is that allowed?
well, with Crown land, I believe you have to get permission through the province. I'm not exactly sure who that contact person is. If they're just squatting on it and that, like, I guess it would be, like, we would be able to deal with that. It gets into a lot of, like, sometimes they'll look at like getting like an injunction or trespassing, things like that. But yeah, I would say if someone is illegally there, we would be able to take action on that.
Okay. It's, I was thinking there was sort of somebody camping out down at Lake Irwin this past summer, and a couple of people, residents there, mentioned it to me, so.
Yeah, they did update like our Provincial Trespasses Act. So at one point we used to have like, if it, let's say it was a homeowner and their property, they would have had to go and give the person like a warning, like they don't want them on the property, or have signs clearly posted.
Yeah.
And now the way they've updated the new legislation, it's like the onus is that you're not allowed on that person's property, which kind of puts it back more on that person. So it was a lot harder to enforce before, because we would show up and the person say, oh, I didn't know I wasn't allowed on here.
Right.
Whereas now it's kind of on them to say how they knew they had permission. And so if we do get a call like that, it is easier to take enforcement on that. And in most cases, like, we show up, people usually say, okay, I got the message and I'll leave, and that's the end of it.
That was kind of like with the ATVs and the trespassing on crown lands down here.
Yeah.
That was,
heard
because
that too.
depending on, I think they were leased crown lands, so it was like up to the leasee to allow them, but they had all these signs up, and they ended up having a contact through Crowns that they were dealing with, but I don't really know what happened after that. But it gets into a bit of a mess.
It was definitely harder before, and now it does.
Yeah.
It's a little bit easier, especially if you have clearly posted signs and that.
Yeah.
Part of the difficulty is just we have a big area, and actually catching people, like if they're camping there, it's one thing, but if they're on quads, depending on the location where we're at when we get the call, and also priorities with what type of calls we have, the reality is that sometimes we don't get there in time. And
What is the size of the spruce detachment?
we cover, it's roughly 3,500 square kilometers. So like east, a little bit east of Gladstone, west a little bit past Rapid City, north about like halfway up to the park and up to Kelwood, about halfway down basically to Carberry area. So kind of a lot, that basically area. So yeah, it's pretty large. And then that's the way like a lot of the areas are. They hubbing together to like 2 or 3 detachments in an area. So
How many members you got in Newport, well, in this area now, in your area?
11 constables, 2 corporals, sergeant, and staff sergeant in total. And that's just for the detachment side. There is a sergeant and I believe 5 or 6 constables on the traffic side. They work out of Minnedosa, and they kind of spread out everywhere and that. So they operate independently, but like if something comes up, we can call them for help, or if they see something occurring, obviously it's still police visibility. Like they'll deal with something and then turn it over to us.
Harold?
Has there been any talk or heard anything about with the price of cattle right now? Hearing anything about cattle rustlers or anything? Because I know my situation is we lost 2 animals off our pasture this year. The neighbor to the east lost 4, and the neighbor to the south lost 4. And it's starting to get rather suspicious of what's going on here. Problem is, cattle rustling, the cattle's taken and gone, and there's nothing to. But have you heard anything?
I haven't heard much, no. I could definitely see that increasing. And I know like in Alberta, they actually have a unit that looks after that, like one issue. It's one of those tough things that I think like my encouragement would be getting neighbors to talk and get them on like, whether it's like group chats, like WhatsApp and things like that. And the example I think of is Sergeant Mark Moorhouse was talking about how one time he drove up and there was a guy with a cattle trailer and he was loading cattle and they waved at him and he waved and just assumed that it was the property rep, and then later on find out that this guy was actually stealing the cattle, and he's like, it's not suspicious if everything looks normal and they're waving and they have all the equipment and they look like farmers, and but that the homeowners or people that reside in that area probably know all their neighbors, and just a quick text to say like, hey, is that you with this truck, or even snagging a license plate, things like that would really help. We can drive around on the gravel roads, and unless something really looks suspicious, like how do you know, right? And I don't know whose cattle belong in what area and stuff, so we try to say like we'll do what we can, but I really encourage kind of neighbors to help out neighbors and report anything suspicious. And it's a little different if it's 2 a.m. and they're loading cattle, like I think I'd be checking that out, but Sunday afternoon on a day like this, it's something really has to be out of place to.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, any other questions, anybody around the table here?
Can I make a comment?
Just a short one.
Sure. Robert Smith, Eaton's Range Patrol Captain since 1982. Give me a call.
Okay.
We've been involved in 3 search and rescues, never found anybody alive yet, but.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, anybody else comments? Well, thank you, Colby, for coming down, that was great.
Yeah, thank you.
You curling again this winter?
Pardon me?
Is your rink curling again this winter?
You know what, I don't know if they are or not.
No?
Yeah, some guys we've had a few guys move on that were curling, and hockey season and everything else, but yeah.
Yeah, they kind of enjoyed it.
I think the guys that played were having a lot of fun.
Good for you
I
guys.
don't think they had a lot of wins, but
You don't feel bad.
so yeah.
In fact, I
Yeah,
think
I
you
know
did
the
get
one
one win.
They had 1 or 2 people that knew what they were doing, and I know
Yeah.
one of them has since left, so
That's too bad.
yeah. It is a good way to get out though and see
It was
people in
a
the community.
good way to
and
get
that,
out in the
and,
community, yeah.
Yeah, I heard a lot of good feedback from it, so.
Yeah.
Some of them were playing hockey too, I think, in their noon hour or something.
Yeah,
Some of them
yeah,
were.
we're still doing the noon hour hockey and that, so.
See, one of your members' son plays on the high school hockey team.
Yeah,
I was there last night
Yeah.
watching, yeah, it's good.
Tis the season for hockey.
yes, yes it is.
I was at the rink yesterday. It was really busy. Always
It's good.
is.
It makes the winter go by quickly.
It does,
We'll hope
yes.
for more weather like this, so.
Yeah,
no bad.
exactly. Okay, well, thank you.
Thank you very
Have
much.
a good day.
Have a good week.
Like if you put them on pasture, there's 1 or 2 animals, but it gets very suspicious when your pasture's missing some, the neighbor beside you's missing some, the neighbor.
That just
to the south is
recently,
missing.
Harold?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Did you just report them?
well, what's there to report? Like I say, they're missing. You can't really,
Crop insurance won't do anything unless there's an animal or a
Yeah.
hide or something.
I think Dallas
Yeah,
is
that's
trying-
just pretty right? I know, but one trucker you're talking about said that there's up quite north around, I forget where, but north of Neequa, one farmer actually had like remnants of like, they're actually not stolen but butchered in place and the meat taken and the carcass is left.
Sounds familiar?
It has happened.
Yeah. No. Okay.
A little early, just yet for your next one. Are
Well, it
you
doesn't
Josh?
matter.
It's Josh. Yeah.
Well, if you're ready to go, let's get it.
All right.
We're a little early, but.
You're the only one coming, Josh, right?
Yeah, just me
Okay.
today.
Good.
And good morning. Good morning,
We'll
everyone.
go around the table here before two and introduce.
Sure, I'm just gonna take my coat off so I don't get overheated in here.
Grant Cherding, Counselor.
Jaron Davidson, Council Ward 5.
Ray Grayson, Reeve.
Trish Fraser, CEO.
Harold Holton, Counselor.
Malcolm Murray, counselor.
And Dallas is on Zoom.
Down there.
All right.
Yes, keep being
Okay.
amazing.
You're behind me. That's new, yeah, okay.
Good morning.
You ever have that sneaky suspicion that someone's looking over your
Yeah.
shoulder?
Yeah.
That's gonna close this story.
No, that's okay. So, thank you, and good morning, and thank you, Trish, for fitting me in.
Yeah.
So, the reason why I've come to talk to you today is about the Farm Industry Board application that Nature Conservancy Canada made to the Harper lands on the northeast side of the Langford Community Pasture that's in the RM. Whenever I came and saw you guys a few months ago, I said that the area was important and we're going to start ramping up and working things. And I didn't expect things to happen this quickly, but you know, whenever a for sale sign goes up, we investigated it, and that was something that we thought would be a good fit for kind of what we do. Normally within that process, I like to come talk to council prior to the order being issued, and I was, it's not the way I wanted to happen, where I had to bug Trish to bug you guys to be like, does anybody have a problem with this? Yes, no, maybe not, because I prefer to come in person in case you have any questions, and that's why I came today, to make myself available for any questions that council might have, any discussion about the Farm Industry Board. It's something we have to go through. It's legislated, and the Farm Industry Board wants the communication from council. And I know I said this to Trish, but if before, under a different direction of the board, it was if they didn't receive comment within, I think, 20 business days or something like that, they were like, you've had enough time to review it, and obviously you have no comments, but you're fine with it and you're not going to object to it, so we're just going to move on in the process. About 4 years ago, the board changed to be, well, maybe the RM didn't have enough time to review the application and make comments or ask questions or anything like that, so we try and get ahead of it. The way that the deal kind of worked out, we had to meet due diligence quicker than the schedule we could make the RM meeting on, because I know I text Trish to be, or sent Trish a message on email being like, hey, we have a signed agreement, I'd like to come talk at the next council meeting. She's like, it's tomorrow morning and we're full. So,
Sorry.
yeah, so we're gonna work on trying to get that scheduled a little bit better, but sometimes that, like I said before, it's a willing seller, willing buyer kind of deal, and we try and make it so it works for both parties. And in this case, they decided to do a split receipt purchase, which is they're donating 25% of the land value and they're getting a cash receipt for, or a cash of 75% value for the rest of it. And they would like that to happen before the end of this year so that they can meet tax requirements on selling the land and stuff like that. So that's why this one was jammed up a little bit. So if anybody has any questions, that's the main reason why I'm here. Is I know that there
will lay on the map of exactly where this was used.
Right there.
It's right up in the corner there.
Yeah, right up on the northeast corner of the community pasture. So it's right between the Hummerston WMA and the pasture, and then Glenella Lansdowne is where that one is. And that one, I should note, it had been for sale for about 3 or 4 months whenever we had started looking at it, and then NCC purchases land. We don't do it fast because we have our internal processes to vet that, and oftentimes it's in the application, but I have to say that like the evaluation of land is based on a third-party appraisal, Institute of Canada certified appraiser, and that's to maintain our charitable status with Canada Revenue Agency. So people always say, what are you paying? And we say market value. So whenever people say we drive prices up and we drive prices down, well, I'd love to say we drive prices down because man, land's getting expensive, but
Depends whether you're a buyer or seller.
Depends on when you're a buyer or seller, exactly.
What I read in the stuff that Trish sent out, it looks like a perfect fit for you guys. It's all low-class, unstable lands, agricultural lands, blow sand, ridges, wetlands. And it looks like you're gonna, from what I read, you were going to do a stockpile or evaluate the forages that are on there to see the carrying capacity going forward. You still plan on renting that out to pasture?
Yeah, so for usually the first 2 years, while we're collecting that information, we continue on with the historic grazing because we don't want to pull the rug out from any renter or anything like that. And then also too, it gives us a chance to make sure that we can work together with the renter, that they have a chance to get to know NCC, and if it's something they want to continue on doing, they have the ability to do that. The infrastructure needs some upgrading. The perimeter fencing definitely needs some upgrading and stuff like that. So we'll probably look at the design of the system, Also, too, the fence lines really aren't on the property lines from what I can see. But I'm not. So I have another piece of property that I manage that is a river lot over by Westburn, and nothing is done there appropriately because the historic survey to the updated survey, everything's off about 20 feet. So like the neighbor's fence are 20 feet on our side, our fence is 20 feet on the neighbor's side. So it's one of those, there's some historic value in there, and it'll be talking to the neighbors to be like, okay, so this is the way the fence was done, and we want to talk to the renter now too, to be like, this is how the fencing was done, how do we want to move forward with this kind of thing.
Very good.
Yeah.
Good question. This is just with its location being so close to the community pasture, if the renters that are on it now were to ever go or release the land, would you consider also renting it to the community pasture board?
You know what? It's definitely a thought process and definitely something that we would keep in mind. Whenever we evaluated the project, we had thought that that would fit nicely if the current renters decided to let it go, that the community pasture is right there, and pasture manager has a wealth of experience and patrons have a wealth of experience within that area, so it would be a really good fit.
I just wondered if you considered that.
Anybody else got any comments, questions, concerns for them? I think it's the right way to go for what you've got, yeah.
I have some other lease properties that I haven't really got a time to look into too much, but when we do, because I know the last time you came and presented, I was gonna gather that. We do have lots of land that we do lease out, and it's been historic for years, right? So, but yeah, I have to get my ducks in a row, and once I do, I can kind of talk to you about some of those properties too, because it'd be good. Yeah, but no.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alrighty, thank you very much for coming in.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
The last comment I had talked about Trish on the phone a little bit is in regards to those lease lands. Would council be open to NTC coming like in 3 or 4 months and doing putting together a proposal of maybe 3 or 4 options of different things that we could potentially do to help manage the lands, but then also ensure conservation?
That'd be good.
That'd be great. Just work it with her because that's right around budget time.
Well, that was my worry is would you rather sneak in before budget time or wait till after?
In the next couple months, or because we're starting to do discussions probably end of this month,
right.
And then we usually have a bit to the end of February or March when we kind of start getting into the nitty gritty of everything. So sure, if you could, couple months, 3 months.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. And geez, I'm keeping you guys ahead of time.
Oh boy.
That's great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no, thank you very much, and really appreciate it. And I think everybody still has my business card. Do you want me to pass them out again?
I think I still have one.
I think
I got mine.
Okay.
As long as Trish has got one.
But yeah, if anybody has any questions, comments, anything you want to discuss, once again, I always say this, but if you hear anything in the coffee shop that you're like, that doesn't sound right, give me a call. Let me know.
Perfect.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you very much,
Thank
everybody.
you. Have a good rest of your day.
Yeah, it's gonna be sunny and nice.
Yes.
Which is better than last week, which was gray and ugh.
Yeah. Well, our windows are open, so the sun gets to come through here. I'll enjoy it eventually. Okay, who else we got on?
I think I saw Rachel walking in.
Oh, okay, perfect. Thank you very much. Thank you so much.
I'll just leave it open.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
fine.
thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, because I think 10 o'clock was no, we're a little early even for that too.
Yeah, 10 and 10:10.
Dallas, can you hear me? My internet is unstable, it keeps saying, so I'm sorry if
It's good.
Okay.
The sound has been good. I've cut out a couple times, but it's brought me back really.
Okay. I've been trying to do it as quick as possible. Okay. We're early for our public hearing. So do you want to take the next delegation, or do you want to just 'cause we're.
I guess we can fit you in here, Robert?
Sure.
Go ahead then.
Tell me when to stop talking. Always the
15
best.
Good
minutes.
morning, Robert.
Okay.
Meet another one coming around 10 o'clock here, Robert. So
Sure,
we'll get
yep.
15 minutes here and we'll,
That's more than I need.
No, it's okay.
that's good, thank you.
No, I should have just given you a signal.
I don't have a card, but that's as close as I got.
You know everybody around the table here, Robert? Go ahead.
Probably. Seen people. 4. Guess my presentation today is, you don't understand. And it's kind of a different concept, but I don't think a lot of people understand the other side of the hills. And I wrote with that concept for 5 years to the Carberry News Express, saying it's a different kind of view on the other side of the hills. They always looked at here as only if Grandpa would have whipped the horses and we got over to Carberry, we'd be rich potato farmers like all the other ones in here. So it's kind of a different point of view. But in that, I'll whip through the thing that I looked this morning on the old history book done the year I was born in 1959. And you look at the history of Furdale settled in 1890, Deer Range settled in 1895, Edrins 1901. The Varco line went in 1901. The Grand Trunk Railway went in 1905. The Harborough-Helston line, I didn't look it up, but that's something I have to do. And the elevator was built at Furdale in 1908. Schools were built at Elk Park, which became Furdale in 1897, Deer Range in 1898, Edrins in 1901, and my great-grandfather W.P. Smith Jr. was involved in all those schools. Curling rinks were built in Edrins and Furdale in 1895. Hydro came in the Edrins Furdale area, turned on Christmas 1949. Used to be a big concern, fires coming out of the plains that would come down. We had May 1903, fire came down, almost destroyed Edrins. The fire started in the plains and grew, was fed by southwest wind. A train was brought in from McGregor. The women and children were loaded on the train. The men, with Reverend Niven as their leader, were prepared to defend Edrins. First, Reverend Niven bent down on his knees and he prayed. The strong south wind started to die down. It became calm. He prayed and everybody prayed with him. The winds changed to the north and Edrins was saved. That's straight out of the history book. And I'm pretty sure what happened is that everybody went to the hotel to celebrate. Because at that time, Edrins had hotels. It was a booming place. It had the brickyard, built in 1901. And it was a big brickyard. One of the last big jobs was bricks for the Neepawa Hospital that served us today. Came from the Edrins brickyard. I was reading in the article that Dr. Clay Gilson, who taught me when I went to University of Manitoba in 1982, starting the North Cypress Junior Farmers Association. I looked at the names. Don Craig, Alex Wells, Charlie Swanson, Bill Birch. Those are all names prominent even today in history. I looked at the book in 1960 with the assistance of a tornadozer. Councillor and former Reeve Roland Nicholson put the Furdale Road through, Road 74 West, through the Sandhills, and they had connection to Carberry then, finally. Shortly after that, Bev Nicholson sold the farm to Dave and Darius Warts in 1977, and it became Warts Brothers Ready Mix, celebrating 45 years as of last year. Then I looked at when the Trans-Canada was twinned through the Sandhills. I remember that happened right after I graduated. In 77 it was through to McGregor, and 78 it was coming on to Carberry here. So when I went to give a similar presentation to the RM of North Norfolk last week on Wednesday, the only question that was asked when I was making some of my comments, and I said that they needed a new RM office because the old one was as old as I was, And since I'm 65 days from being 65 and should be retiring, I think they should retire their RM office. The question was then, well, what's going to cost taxes? So I thought about that since then. And I think, as far as I'm concerned, it's both a privilege and a right to pay taxes. And I've never felt badly because I'm a property owner. I am the eldest son of the eldest son of the eldest son of the guy that cut the trees down, and we've had 126 crops on that farm. And I should be privileged to pay taxes because it gives you rights to, when you're a property owner from way back, at one time it was only the property owners that made the rules, not anybody else. So I think that some people need to understand that the rights to own property means a lot. Kind of to wind up real quickly here, is that I think you all change history with every decision you make around this table. And I understand that because 32 years ago, when I was 32, they made me chairman of the board of Pine Creek School Division. I had served for 10 years. After that, I lost and somebody else was put on, but I went on and served on provincial committees. And when I was finally served 20 years at age 42, I was the chairman of the board of the Must Fund for the Manitoba Association of School Trustees, and they gave me $500,000 a year just to give away. We dealt with labor relations, and we encouraged every small school division to fight any and all cases, because if you lose it 1, 2, 3 times, it's in the contract, and every arbitrator will give it away. So it's in that context that I get back to, I wrote a letter to Dallas last meeting. I don't know if it came up to the table or not, but I never got a response from Dallas. I never got a response from anybody, and I wonder why. Thank you.
Hi, good morning, Howard.
Hi.
Sorry, yes, I did bring it up to council, and I'm sorry I didn't get a response. I am available anytime, as you know, by text, and I will happily continue any conversation, Robert, for sure. So I apologize if I didn't get back to you, but I did put your comments forward at the meeting for sure.
Okay, thank you. Just wondering, I just give a brief look at the minutes. Are letters accepted as information, or are they noted in the minutes?
They are noted, yes, not in quite as detailed as they should be, but
Okay.
which they don't need to be, I guess, sorry. We just usually point form what is explained at the meeting. But we did discuss the letter, I know Dallas brought up around the table.
Okay.
That was in regards to the mowing, correct?
Sure.
And the
Yeah,
Shelfwood
didn't
Road.
our what you call a machinery road didn't
Yeah.
get mowed last year and didn't get mowed this year. And on my way to Nipawa a week ago Monday, I had a long chat with the mower guy because he was off on a stretching break, and we chatted about everything when he was north of Wellwood. And a nice guy, and he understands, and I understand his situation. I guess what I don't understand is that nobody got back to me. When I was chairman of the board, somebody wrote me a letter. Either I responded or the secretary responded to the letters. Protocol, that's all. Any further questions? If not, I am done, and I will announce to you, I am now the volunteer reporter for the Nipawa Banner on RM Council meetings south of Nipawa. So I'm doing here, North Norfolk, and whether I'll do the one around Nipawa, north of Nipawa. Rosedale, that's what I'm looking for. I was in there the other day talking to them. So.
Okay, good.
Since I don't have a Sydney store anymore, I need a job.
Okay, thank you very much, Rob.
Yeah, you can probably get Rachel and, or just open the door and I'm sure she, yeah.
What? Sure, yeah.
you. You can just leave.
Just leave it open, if it'll stay open there
That's
now.
fine. Morning.
Morning, Rachel, how are you?
Pretty good. How about yourselves?
Good, thank you. You ready here?
Yep.
Planning matters, resolution 278, 2023, we resolve the council adjourn its regular meeting at
9:58.
9:58 for the purpose of holding a public hearing regarding an application for a conditional use order and a variation order. Can I have a mover, please? Seconder?
Grant.
Any questions on that? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you.
Hi.
Good morning.
Perfect.
ahead.
So before we get started, has the municipality heard anything in relation to the conditional use or the variation order application? Okay. So with that being said, it's not a typical variation order. It's a minor variation order because we're reducing the setback by less than 15%. So just make that notation right up front because we didn't actually do posting like we would normally do with a variation order because a minor variation order doesn't require any of the posting. So we did post the conditional use order, we just didn't post the variation order. So these two orders are attached to the Bart's subdivision, which is something that we discussed at a previous meeting. So there is the conditional use order to establish the rural non-farm dwelling site, and then again, the minor variation to reduce the setback because of the existing dwelling on site. It's not set back 125 feet. So yeah, this property is located at Southwest 241216. Like I said, they're in the process of creating a rural non-farm dwelling site. It's a very typical 10-acre parcel that they are looking to cut out the yard site with. It's off of Municipal Road 91, kind of south of the Brookdale area. So, like I said, very straightforward. Not, again, we do lots of these types of subdivisions, and then the variation order is it's a reduction from 125 to 112. So it's within that parameter. So is there any questions on this one? Again, they're very straightforward.
I think pretty straightforward. Most of us know where it is on the shirt.
Yeah. And like I said, we had no one reach out to speak positively or negatively on the order itself. Nor did we have anyone reach out during the subdivision process when we had that at the municipal table for discussion and approval. So.
Okay.
Any more questions on Bart's then? That's basically all we're here to talk about for that part, is it?
You betcha. Yeah. Pretty straightforward.
Yes.
Like I said.
Now we can close it?
I know that was supposed to be 10:10, so.
Well, again, with the fact that the minor variation order doesn't require
Sure.
the postings, we
Okay,
like
then we won't worry about
yeah.
that one then.
we
Okay.
can again we
Well,
can
you
wait.
just explained
Yeah,
it.
there has been no discussion on it, so I'm not
Okay.
surprised there's not anyone here. So.
That's fine, so yeah, you can
Okay.
move on.
Resolution 279, 2023, be it resolved public hearing regarding a conditional use order and variation order be adjourned at
10:02.
10:02 a.m. and that the regular meeting of council resume. Could I have a mover, please? Malcolm, seconder. Harold. Any questions? All in favor? Opposed? Carried, thank you. Move right into the next part here again. Resolution 280, 2023. Be it resolved, the council approve the conditional use order number CU 1123 North Cypress-Langford for Robert and Heather Bartz, registered owners of property land legally described as PT SW 241216 WPM in the municipality of North Cypress-Langford, located south of Brookdale, Manitoba, along Municipal Road 91 to establish a rural non-farm dwelling site on an agricultural yard site within the AG Agricultural General Rural District. Subject to the following conditions, approval of this application is a condition of subdivision file number 4155-23852. Can we have a mover, please?
Davidson.
Seconder.
Grant.
Grant. Any questions on that? All in favor? Opposed? Carried, thank you. Resolution 281, 2023, be it resolved the council approve the variation order number VO 0723 NCL for Robert and Heather Bartz, registered owners of property legally described as PT Southwest 241216 WPM in the municipality of North Cypress-Langford, located south of Brookdale, Manitoba, along Municipal Road 91 West to reduce the minimum required front yard setback from 125 feet by less than 15% of a parcel in the AG Agricultural General District from 125 to 112 feet. Subject to the following conditions, approval of this application is a condition of subdivision file number 4155238528. We have a mover, please.
Davidson.
Davidson, second. Harold. Any questions on that? All in favor? Opposed? Carried, thank you.
No, you can do those later if you want, right? That's
Okay.
okay.
Minor subdivision, file number 4155-238581 Brown. Resolution 282, 2023, whereas council has received an application from Alex Klippenstein, applicant on behalf of the registered owner Glenelda May Brown, file number 4155-228449 for subdivision of the property legally described as PT Northeast 21115 WPM. Approved to approval subject to the following conditions: that an approach has been built off Road 85 West and has been confirmed by the municipality. Number 2, that future access to the remaining parcel be at the cost of the applicant. Number 3, all legal costs incurred be the responsibility of the applicant. We have a mover, please.
Harold.
Harold, seconder.
Malcolm.
Malcolm. Any questions? What's going on there?
So this was a subdivision that we had done previously, and what had happened here is during the process of working through the conditions, the SAM, or the plan of subdivision that was supplied to land titles, they had made an error with it, like the surveyors. So we actually had to reduce it. We had 2 variation orders come through, one at 2.48 and then one at 2.97 was the original one, which was this plan of subdivision that was submitted. And then during the process, for some reason the surveyor shrunk it, and that it actually excluded the lane. And it wasn't caught until it was submitted to land titles. So then we had to backtrack, do an additional variation order to revise it to the smaller number, but obviously they need the lane. So now we're back here again with a minor subdivision to include the lane. So again, we're only growing slightly from 2.48 to 2.97, but it's just cleaning up some clerical errors on the other end of things. The joys of that line being just slightly in the wrong spot.
Yeah, I sent that information out.
Yep. Any more questions for Rachel on that? All in favor? Opposed? Carried, thank you.
Yeah, that one really.
So does that cost the property owner more money?
I was gonna ask you that
It
question.
does. Typically, it would cost the $510 application fee. There would be the fee associated to this plan of subdivision, which now with it being the surveyor's error, I'm assuming that there would be a waived fee because the original plan of subdivision showed the 2.97 acres.
I hope they get something.
Yeah, it's one of those things that came through my desk and I was very confused on what we were looking at because originally it was the 2.97 acres, so I had kind of forgotten about the reduction of it. but the planning district had waived the fee on the second revision, or the second variation order, because we felt that the applicant was, again, it's not Danelle DeBrand who's doing any of the paperwork, it's actually her lawyer, Al Falkenstein, doing all the work. So to have that many errors go through, we were trying to eliminate as much costing as we can, but yeah, with it being through the province, you know, there's always a fee, right? So, I have one item that's not on the agenda that I'd like to discuss. Not so much discussion based, because there will be 2 public hearings coming because of it. But just want to bring up the lagoon situation. We have it with one of the colonies. So did everyone get a chance, or has that document, the Notice of Environment Act proposal, been circulated to council?
Yes. The notice, yeah.
Okay. So I've gone through and I flagged a handful of potential issues that I had seen. Now this is something that would require a conditional use order and a variation order, because the lagoon's actually too close to a front property line. So again, you will be seeing these applications come through, so we're not going to do a full discussion on it, because again, I can't lead you into being positive or negative against the applications prior to them coming to the table, but just want to make sure everyone's had a chance to really read it and see the proposal of where they're piping the effluent into Boggy Creek and everything like that. So I had the gentleman from the colony come to my office in April for discussion, but I was led to believe that they were expanding an existing lagoon. I had no idea that we were building a brand new one. Neither did the province. So typically in these situations, we have an engineer of record, and we do. It's Mr. Peter Grieger, who had basically created the whole packet. Now, at some point in time, it was done in September. It was not circulated out to the province for its formal processing and presentation for the proposal. But it was made, the assumption was made from the applicant that it was. So this is what's happened, is we've had a design professional prepare the documents, and then instead of going directly to the province, it sounds like it went to the landowners, and the landowners didn't understand that it needed to go one step further.
Because they were told to do that by the province, right? I remember in 2018,
Yes.
Their initial plan was to decommission their old lagoon and use it.
Yes.
But then the province told them they had to build a new one.
Yes.
So
Yeah, they've known
they
for,
thought
yeah.
it was,
Yeah.
the province told them, so that,
Yeah.
well, they told us to do it, we have to do it,
Yeah.
right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion.
So there's like a miscommunication.
Definitely. There's been a breakdown of communication and a lot of miscommunication on this one. So again, it has been circulated. It was in the banner, the Nipois banner on the 3rd. So we are doing all the appropriate paperwork to play catch up on it. But again, these type of things, definitely the adjacent landowners can be quite upset about them, especially with proximity to homes. The lagoon itself is set back appropriately from adjacent homes and yard sites. It's just not set back.
Distance.
Yeah.
Because they had lots of distance with the animal lagoons, the pig lagoons.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
still room. I know it's,
Yeah, they definitely have the appropriate setbacks from what I would consider the major concerns. Again, the adjacent yard sites and whatnot. They're just not far enough back from the front property line, which is why you'll see a conditional use order to establish the lagoon, as well as a variation order to reduce that front setback.
So it's too close to the road on the north side.
Yeah. Had it.
So what is the difference between,
I meant to bring that, but I will tell you right now, my zoning bylaws are sitting on my kitchen table, along with my my review on them. I took them home this weekend to make sure I didn't miss anything, and I woke up late this morning, so that's where they stay. So the nearest neighbor they have out at 690 meters, which was past the buffer that we required from our zoning bylaw. But again, this needs to be commented on by the province, and I'm not sure that number is a provincial number, but it was the design professional, so Southman Design, which is the engineer. He works almost exclusively with colonies in establishing these types of things. So I would be surprised if that number didn't meet the requirement from the province. But again, in the report, they clearly talk about the requirements of a conditional use order. The gentleman had our zoning bylaw, so I'm not sure how they missed that front setback, because they missed it by quite a bit.
Are they trying to maximize space between the river?
I'm not entirely sure. Like generally, we have a chance to have a discussion with the design professional on these. We didn't have that, so
Yeah.
yeah, it's. I'm surprised that an entire lagoon was built and no one really had a chance to talk with planning about it.
Yeah.
And
It
again,
looked like it was just part of the whole project, you know, so.
yeah,
They
it's
had all the permits for the first one.
yeah. Well, and there was some discussion about that, about what we were doing with this new lagoon.
Yeah.
And I, again, not being as familiar with the yard site or the site itself, I didn't realize that they were told by the province to decommission it
Yeah.
until much later into this whole process. Which is why when they came in to talk about expanding, they can expand on a conditional use order up to 15%. Anything over that, they have to open up the conditional use order. So my lack of understanding of what they were doing also led to playing some catch up. But
Like, they thought they were doing everything by the book, so.
yeah, well, and they're, again, they had this, they had the packet, and they've had it since, like I said, since the 15th of September. So they had a big document that looks very formal with engineer stamps and comments and everything. There was an HRIA, which is the Historic Resource Impact Assessment requirement that they also had to do.
Yeah.
HRB, which is the Historic Resource France, they are not so understanding of the processes and having things done, so that alone could hold them up quite a bit, because obviously now that we're getting, well, we don't have as much snow as we used to, but snow will definitely impact how they are able to conduct those ground searches. So this whole process, I can't see the lagoon becoming operational until 2024.
So what do they do until then?
Well, they have the old one
Yeah,
that I assume there is still operational in a sense.
I guess it must be, because
Yeah.
they have commissioned the new one.
Basically, it becomes critical about around June
Yeah.
is when it gets fall, get pretty close to fall, and then and
I did have some landowners that were close by that had contacted me, and I know that they spoke to Grant as well, so
Yes.
that's when I reached out to the province as well to ask.
Yes.
Um,
There was a lot of
and-
that.
yeah, and then the lady from the province went out and actually said, oh, well, we didn't know anything about this. And
Yes. And
that's kind of where this kind of circulated, so I mean, I get that perspective, but I also see the landowner's point of view too, like, I mean, and I think it was Grant that sent me pictures, and I didn't even know either, like, I mean,
yeah,
I
Grant got a hold of me and said, what do you know about the lagoon?
I
I'm like,
had
"What?"
no idea, so, I mean, they, like, by what you said though, like, they did do their
Yeah,
due diligence, it's
they-
just
yeah.
a matter of the extra step, right,
Yeah.
that they didn't do,
Yeah.
The
so,
actual.
yeah, like
The circulation, like
So-
they've done test holes, they've done soil sampling, they've done all of the things that they need to do. So
Right.
it's not like they're starting at, like, they put the lagoon in and they had no idea what they were doing. Like,
It's not like they were trying to hide it, and they thought they were doing stuff by the book,
Yeah.
like, I was
Yeah.
talking to them and I saw them building it.
yeah. And hence why they
Everything's by
wouldn't
the
have
book,
thought
yeah.
anything
Yeah.
else to contact, like, they
No,
were
for sure.
thinking they were doing their,
yeah, and again, when I originally had my discussions with Mr. Woolman, I was under the impression that we were expanding the existing lagoon. So
Yeah.
it never
Because that was
even
part of the
tweaked
first
on.
plan, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it never even tweaked in my brain that there was
Yeah.
a whole new lagoon going in. And it's not an area that I have any other active projects in, so I haven't been out to drive by kind of thing. So I'm a little embarrassed that an entire lagoon was built under my nose, in a sense, that I was not, wasn't aware of until the end, but it got a lot. North Cypress has got a lot of area to cover, so that is the excuse
I
I'm
saw
using.
them building it the whole time, and I just thought they were just continuing off their 2018 permit, so.
I just assumed they had everything. all
Yeah,
done.
they did
Permits,
too.
yeah.
Well, yeah,
yeah.
they're
Done very well.
well, and yeah, they've done their due diligence. They have a beautiful design. It should be great. I'm a little concerned with the effluent that's being pumped into Boggy Creek, but again, yeah,
It's supposed to meet all the environmental.
they've done all their homework on it, and again, if the province had
Doesn't
any
sound
concern
good,
with
but
it,
I don't think it sounds good either, but the
Yeah.
province, the
Yeah.
Environment Act says it's okay the way they're doing it.
Yeah.
so.
yeah, I know it was circulated again. It was in the publication on the 3rd. I did have Meepo Area Planning reach out and ask some questions about it. Again, I had to explain there was no permits or licensing, but it's there.
Yeah.
So there's going to be a lot of discussion between now and when we get, again, the December 4th is when the commenting period ends for the province. We will have a conditional use order and variation order come into the December meetings
Right.
for discussion. If they get past the circulation, obviously, if someone in the province decides that I shouldn't say someone, if an agency within the province decides that it doesn't meet their parameters, if it gets kiboshed, which would be very unfortunate for them with the amount of money and time and effort they've put into it, then we won't bring it to the table, obviously. But yeah, it's, like I said, there's some questions that I've flagged, none of which were, other than the setbacks and the process of having paperwork done, they were all that concerning. And then again, the method of discharge into Boggy Creek, I'm never a fan for that, but again, it's not my jurisdiction to.
Better than being untreated and being
yes.
discharged onto the surface.
There was a lot of concern from the adjacent landowners because it's domestic effluent and slaughterhouse effluent from their processing of their homegrown meats. So that also brought into some concern for the adjacent landowners. But again, we're sharing the information as much as we can, and we'll play some catch up on some paperwork.
Thank you.
Okay. The other thing was the zoning bylaw update.
Yes, I will have those out to you first thing tomorrow morning. I have a packet. There was a handful of comments that we accepted that made a lot of sense. We reworked the RCI, which is the Rural Commercial Industrial Zone, which is basically your old commercial highway. So we tweaked, or I tweaked it back to something similar to what we had before. There was a couple of industrial uses that were, because we took two zones and blended them together, so there was some heavier industrial that I could understand why NEPA had flagged. And the back end of those pages where there was comments, and there was a lot of little fixes that needed to happen. So the biggest was the reworking of the RCI and also looking at the setbacks for in the agricultural limited zones, because we had reduced them. We had North Cypress-Langford had a series of buffer rings coming out from Neepawa that talked about limiting livestock. So we went back. A lot of the comments that we had were from the province that talked about how we should word it, because we were blending all of those limited agricultural uses together. So there was some that I've made notation that yes, I agree that we should look at amending this, and there were some that these were provincial comments that we adapted into our bylaw. So yeah, I will have those out to you tomorrow. I apologize.
So we're sticking with the provincial setback distances we already had?
Yes. Yeah. So North Cypress-Langford, I shouldn't necessarily say the provincial ones. North Cypress-Langford had a different buffer originally.
Right.
You guys had established your buffers in previous times, so we've had to blend everything between the two. So I don't want to say they're exactly provincial, because this has been a long process, so can't exactly remember how it all laid out, but anything that the province basically gave us the wording for, we've left the wording.
Okay.
And then they had talked about, on the front page, they had addressed additional maps, putting additional maps in that talked about surface water and flood zones and that sort of thing. We didn't do them for the other two zoning bylaws. If North Cypress-Langford would like to include those, because those are maps that are generated not from our office, so every time they are generated or regenerated through the provincial agencies that do them, your bylaw would have to be updated. Or you just keep old information in your bylaw. Again, that's not a major issue, but I did talk about the options.
Can you still use those maps for reference when locating places?
We do.
Yeah.
We use them anyways. We just don't have them included in the official documents. More and more as we see surface water flooding or overland flooding, and we see different implications with how the flooding impacts the areas, that always influences where building permits are being issued and how we issue a building permit.
Right, okay.
So generally speaking, if we're in what they would consider a floodplain, not that you guys have a lot of them, but further up north you deal with a little bit more flooding. Basically what we do is we take a map from, like in my municipal map, and I'll go through and I'll flag it during the flooding. So I'll flag roads that washed out, just from being in contact with your municipal emergency coordinator, so that I know areas that are already of a concern. And then when we go forward, if we've got someone who says, I want to build a house right here, I can go back and say, hey, look, like last year, a lot of water moved through your yard site. Maybe this isn't a great place for a house, kind of thing. But we don't necessarily pull out the big maps from the province, but we could. Neepawa Planning does it, so I can appreciate why they suggested we do it. So.
Okay.
Any other comments, Rachel? How much longer till this thing gets maybe finished?
Well, I'll have my packet out to you guys tomorrow morning, and then as long as you guys don't see any major red flags with it, I'd like to propose that we go into a public hearing, and then obviously circulate it out to, again, I pick on Neepawa because they were the only ones here in Neepawa Area Planning and the town of Neepawa. Their CAO was here, so we'll send out our revisions and our things we were willing to accept, and then the comments on why we didn't accept. We'll send that out because they were here as part of the recorded minutes.
Yeah.
And then we'll go from there. I don't see why we couldn't do another public hearing and then go right into second and third.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, thank you very much, Rachel.
So close. No, and it's one of those things. I knew North Cypress, your zoning bylaw would be difficult just with the proximity to Neepawa and how Neepawa is expanding. Mm-hmm. They want to protect themselves, and we want to also protect our ratepayers down here. So, yeah, no, I can appreciate it. So.
Okay.
Nothing else for planning?
Next Wednesday night?
Yes.
Meeting?
Yes, here in Carberry.
Yep, thank you.
Not that I know of. I think we're good. I'll call you if something comes up.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to think. We don't have a lot of active permits with, obviously, it's kind of the end of the season. I'm dealing with a couple of interesting projects that are kind of taking most of my time right now. Hopefully we can get something addressed and dealt with before the new year, but if not, that will be something we will discuss probably in an in-camera meeting at a later date.
All right.
Perfect.
Hey, well, thank
Okay,
you.
thank
No
you
problem.
very much.
Have a lovely rest of your day.
Oh, yeah. I got nothing but code upgrading and testing coming up. So.
Oh,
Fun stuff.
Thanks, Rachel.
thank you. Yeah, we'll just
Take a 5 or 10 minute break here, okay?
Thanks.
General business, tile drainage, Bray Farms, resolution 285-2023, be it resolved that council received a drainage application for the west half of 8/14/15 and west half of 17/14/15 WPM from Bo Russ Contracting Limited on behalf of the registered owner Bray Farms Limited. And further be it resolved that council approve the application on the following conditions. That the applicant receives written consent from all downstream landowners within 1 mile, that any costs incurred for repairs, maintenance to municipalities' property be the responsibility of the applicant, and that the existing drains be cleaned out to preferred maximum 10 inches. We have a mover, please.
Davidson.
Seconder.
Welcome.
We had an on-site meeting with Ingrid and one landowner, and they explained their map to us, I guess. Ray and I had some questions of them, and I think they answered most of them.
It wasn't a happy camper in ways, but
Not particularly, but
he's,
as long as all the
as long as he
planning
goes by
setbacks
our
are-
rules
yeah.
and that, what we have, like, he has to directional bore under the road. And is our directional boring, is it stipulated how far below the bottom of the ditch level?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
I can't remember, what was it?
I think it's 3 feet
3,
under
yeah.
under level,
I was gonna
ditch
ask
level,
him,
you know,
I'm sure
just
it's in
stuff
there.
like that. he's
Do
gotta
you
know
want
about.
to indicate that in your resolution? So, or,
You'd say
As a
the
condition?
policy, the crossing policy, because there's a road crossing
As long as
policy.
it's the same policy we apply to the irrigators and everybody else who puts a
Yep.
pipe in, we're treating everybody the same then.
I think it probably should be in here, maybe, that the road crossing policy be followed.
Followed.
Here too? Yeah.
There was a question of the pipe. Is there any way we can find out, like, is that the correct location, or that's where it is, that's where it is?
Which pipe do you
The
mean?
culvert he was talking about that goes north, he said that there should have been one lower.
Yeah, but that's nothing to do with the tile drainage.
No, okay, so that's, yeah, great.
Because if he's gonna go, he's gonna directional bore underneath
Okay.
to do it.
And if he follows the that policy, the road crossing, we already have specified pipes
Yeah.
and what use the pipe can go
it'll
under
be
there
sleeved and,
Yeah.
and how it's done.
Yeah, so if it's all in our policy,
It is,
say
yeah.
they have
Yeah,
to follow
it's
our
in the policy.
So I guess I can, sorry if this is a problem. I just added, so just
further to that resolution, I added that the applicant adhere to the irrigation policy set by the municipality. That's point blank, right? Is that where you want me to?
Yeah, the irrigation and road crossing code.
Road crossing
just-
policy.
Yeah, sorry.
And just, yeah,
Road crossing policy. Okay,
thank you.
As long as everybody's treated the same.
yeah, that's right.
The only other thing there, he was talking about those little drain spouts that are gonna come up. He's got 4 of them or something like that.
Yeah.
I think Rachel says they're normally 15 feet on property. Mind you, Danny and Ronnie haven't applied for any variation down to 0, I
No.
don't think.
They're still talking about underground pipes,
Yeah,
I think.
yeah,
so,
and that's fair, and that's good, yeah.
yeah. Any infrastructure that comes
Above
up
ground.
out of the ground, they would have to make sure it meets our setbacks,
Yeah.
25 feet and all that.
But Rachel has that through planning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yep.
but I think everything's supposed to be underground for this, so.
Yeah, everything's underground.
Okay.
As long as it's all carried out for the planning, that's good.
Okay.
Unless anybody else has any
It's
other.
good that you went out and did that though.
Oh, yeah.
Because,
That's how they used to do it all the
Yeah.
time, was an on-site meeting, then everybody
Yeah.
knew where everything was going.
right,
I'm
which
glad
makes
you guys
sense.
did that.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was good. It was kind of, they should be doing that though. Like,
it doesn't hurt.
no.
Yeah. Okay, any more questions on that then? I think that's already adjourned, the way
I
it
think
sounds
so.
there.
I think so, yep.
Okay, all in favor? Opposed? Carried, thank you. Write-offs. Some accidents or? No, just kidding. Resolution 286, 2023, be it resolved that council write off the following accounts owing. Account receivable, account number DAV 1431, $12.32. Account number ADP 2260, $18.97. Account number CYR 2300, $70.72. Account number MCC 1440, $3.46. Account number MIL 7483, $2.40. Account number TR 267, $7.18. Account number FCO 7137, 17 cents. Account number STA 1414, 44 cents. Account number MAH 2399, $1,174.20. Utility accounts, account number 130010 for $103.09. Account number 250020, $77.26. Can I have a mover, please? Harold, seconder?
No,
You guys are scared. So, in doing the 2021 audit, they found some write-up, like these accounts were actually paid.
So this is just cleaning up the
So
books.
it's cleaning up the books. It's
Yeah.
kind of funny because I do recognize some of these names and I did look back and they were paid. It's just a matter of the way we need a resolution to get these off of our, so it doesn't affect anybody, like we have received the money in, it's just a matter of what was on our books, apparently.
Okay.
Is my understanding,
okay.
so.
Very
Usually I don't do this, I don't like to write off, you know, I'm a pretty,
17 cents.
That's why
Yeah.
we didn't want to put our names to it.
I know, that's right, yeah, so I mean, it came up in the audit and this is just to get my books straight and move
Clean it up.
forward, yeah.
Okay. All in favor? Opposed? Carried, thank you.
Thank you.
Land lease unpaid, resolution 287, 2023. Be it resolved that council add the following account to the tax roll as listed. Roll number 183750, $1,350.78. Can I have a mover, please? Harold, seconder. Malcolm.
So in the lease agreements that we have, so this is land that we own that we lease out to individuals. It does state in the lease agreement that they are to be paid by July 1st, and if they are not, they have to be added to taxes.
This is a recurring one that happens every year, unfortunately. These land lease agreements are going to be updated for the next year, so that's going to be, but I'm wondering if it's something that maybe if they don't pay their leases, that the lease is terminated. Because
Sooner or later.
Usually how it works, isn't it?
yeah, and it's kind of funny because I know we revised these last term, and we went through them pretty good on what our terms were and whatnot, but that was kind of missed. So I'm gonna look at rewording that a little bit because I mean I understand things are held up and you can't pay right on time, but it is an agreement and we need to make sure that they're meeting the requirements for it. So. Anyway, I'll update these. We do need to have and maybe this isn't regarding this, but we do need to have a discussion on some of the leases, the land leases. People are interested in buying them.
Oh, yeah.
So I do have the values of those properties, and I will be connecting with those individuals to see what they would be offering, and then maybe we can sort something out with those properties. It would be nice to get rid of, get them to just buy them and that way we're not having.
Curious, how is this gonna work now that we're leasing the land? We get a payment, we know what that is. What are the taxes gonna be if we sell it?
I'm not sure. That's what I'm trying to figure out too.
Not that it makes a big difference, it'd just be interesting.
Yeah, that's right.
I think when we worked it last time, Jaron, it was basically the
Pretty
cost
close,
of the taxes
It would've been,
plus a service fee to cover the girls' time in the office.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, we got a resolution on the books here now. Any more questions on it? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Joint Utility Person, Resolution 288, 2023, be it resolved, the council accept the resignation of the Joint Utility employees, Nicole McMillan as of August 16th, 2023, and Chris Northway as of November 4th, 2023.
I'll put you on speaker. Okay. Sorry, it's Dallas.
We have a mover, Dallas. Okay, Dallas moved. We have a seconder, please.
Grant.
Grant. Any question on that?
I think I explained this a little bit.
Oh, so he's.
So we
this is for his
hired,
other position?
and then then
Okay.
he resigned. It was a quick turnaround, like I said, so.
Crazy.
Unfortunate,
Okay.
yes.
All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Resolution number 289, 2023. Be it resolved that council hire Bryce Leverington
Yeah.
as a joint utility employee with details outlined in the employment letter, and further be it resolved that the costs be shared 50-50 between the town of Carberry and the municipality of North Cypress-Langford. Can we have a mover, please?
Grant.
Grant. Dallas, can you second that? Dallas, you still there?
I'm there, sorry, I lost you right.
Can you second that one?
She said she'd love to.
Okay, thanks, Dallas. Any further questions? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank
Just so you guys are all aware, the joint utility position is the individual who works out at the Carberry transfer station and does also shifts at the rink as well when needed.
Perfect.
Okay.
Where's this Bryce Leverington from?
I believe he's from Carberry.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Or in an area, I'm not sure. He did go to school here, I believe, so
Is he Ken Leverington's son?
I don't know, Harold, I'm not sure.
White Mud Watershed Sub-District appointments. What you got there? Trish?
So I just wanted to make sure that all the appointments for the watershed districts are still gonna be the same. They just always send their
Okay.
I
revised.
still don't have anybody for 40 yet as a rate pair, I don't think. Or is there?
40, no, they don't have one, actually. I think, yeah, that's
Who
right
might be
too.
down in that area, Jim?
I don't know, I was gonna ask Adrian Kerman. You think you'd go to?
You're Keith Delmer?
Keith Delmer?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll try calling around then.
Sure.
I tried a couple of names and they weren't.
Brad
very
Nelson
interested.
over in that area?
He is in 40, Barney used to be on it.
Army?
Yeah.
Brad Nelson,
Yeah.
young guy.
Yeah.
That'd be a
Just-
good one.
you could find
I
some.
talked to a couple of former ones, and they weren't interested, and then I talked to Mark, and he
Yeah.
didn't think too much, but, oh yeah, I'll try those guys, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Other than that, okay.
So yeah, I have Rob Van Comer is for sub-district 37, Dallas Olmsted is for 38. The ratepayer for 38 is David Barron, 39 is Ray Drayson, ratepayer is Scott Newton, and then 40 is John, and then again we don't have that. Okay. Okay, that's perfect. Thank you.
They have a meeting starting this week, I think.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Municipal shop repairs, resolution 290-2023, be it resolved that council approve the quote from Merit Construction Limited in the amount of $1,584.15, includes taxes, to repair the Carberry Municipal Shop exhaust vent. We have a mover, please.
Malcolm.
Malcolm. Seconder,
David, go ahead.
Harold.
No, David.
I got Jaren.
All right. Sharon. Any questions on that? It's a vent that needs to.
Yeah, I did send out the quotes.
Yep.
I believe.
Yes, you did.
So it does need to get done right away, so it would be nice to have that fixed.
A question, was there any follow-up on putting that second exit door on the east side they talked about at the?
That's a next year thing, Dallas.
Okay, that sounds good.
Yeah, he did look at the whole, I was gonna, we have our next transportation, or our public works meeting. He did have a quote, for our budget next year for what needs to be fixed, and that was on there, so.
Good.
Yeah.
Excellent, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Okay. All in favor of that vent? Opposed? Carried, thank you. Resolution 291-2023, be it resolved that council approve the quote from Merck Construction Limited in the amount of $5,423.59, includes taxes, to repair the Carberry Municipal Shop roof. Can I have a mover, please?
Grant.
Grant. Seconder. You there, Dallas?
You betcha.
Okay, we got you, thank you. Any questions on this? It's
Send
gotta be
that out as
done.
well, yeah.
All in favor? Opposed? Carried, thank you.
Thank you.
Correction line project. All
Okay,
done?
yeah, so it is, got a bit of a discrepancy with the arm of Rosedale in regards to a price for the gravel. I know that when Ray, Matt, and myself met with them last time, so it's Rosedale's gravel that we were getting, and it was between $7 and $8. They have now quoted us at $8.50 for their gravel. So I'm a bit, I'm questioning it.
Yep,
Because
thank you.
and so I'll read out what the CAO from Rosedale said. I've spoken with council, and they are not reversing the resolution, so they did have a resolution at their last meeting to approve the $8.50, I guess. During the meeting, a less expensive option of using pit run was presented, but could not be agreed to. Also, utilizing pit run for a portion and then topping with traffic gravel was not accepted. The discussion on the price was loosely discussed, around $8. After reviewing the numbers for crushing at $5.50 and the price to purchase the material for crushing, the price was determined at $8.50. Getting this road complete after 20 years of issues is definitely positive, and surely would have no cost, or have cost more if we would have waited until spring. The dispute in the gravel price was a learning experience for them, but so I just basically indicated that we have the same contractor doing the crushing.
Yep.
So it shouldn't cost us more for gravel there than it does for ourselves. So it should be the same price. I quoted mine and it was just under $8. So it's up to you if you approve. This is part of, it's all gas tax funded, just keep in mind. So I mean, I'm not gonna stay stuck on this, but it was just more of like, okay, so if you can charge $8.50 for your gravel.
Is that their own gravel? Like,
It's theirs, yeah.
Pit, so,
So we just, all I'm looking for is, because we discussed.
We discussed 7 to 8.
So we have to approve the price of this gravel for the project also.
Yeah.
So,
How many yards?
18,000?
No, it's probably not.
8,000 maybe?
That's what I was wondering, because
8,600 yards.
so you're looking at $4,300 difference.
But
So
that's
with the,
split
this
two
is, I
ways.
talked to Matt about this too,
true.
and Matt just
Yeah.
said, like, you know, if we would have known it was gonna cost us more for the gravel on this end, we would have went another route, because it would have been cheaper to get it probably through the contractor rather than getting it through Rosedale too,
Yep.
just so you know.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
to
and the
me,
and the comment about taking so long to get it done, well,
it is,
supposed
like,
to be
I,
done 25 years ago.
it is done, and that's it's good, it's done, like, it
Yeah.
has been a long time. But just the fact of the matter is that it's $8.50, so when we had our discussion with them,
Yep.
they quoted between $7 and $8. So of course, in my budget, in my head, I was thinking, okay, well then it won't cost us any more than for this project. Now it's gonna cost us a little bit more because they're charging us more, which you'd think that they'd be lenient. So my suggestion to council is that I'm going to, get back to Rosedale and indicate that we are gonna go based on what the discussion was between the $7 and $8. This
Yep.
is how much we paid for our gravel, and at that time, if we would have known that that was gonna cost us that, we would have went another route.
Yep,
Does that sound okay?
That's right.
yes,
Mhm.
thank you.
Okay. Did you hear all that?
Thanks, Alice.
Okay. Anyway, I'm just trying to
Nope,
make sure we
that's good.
don't, yeah.
Thank you. Age-friendly application, resolution 292-2023, be it resolved the council supports the application submitted by Debbie Steen, Service for Seniors, on the Age-Friendly Manitoba Initiative Program to actively support, promote, and work towards our community becoming age-friendly. Can we have a mover, please?
Yes, please.
Dallas, seconder.
Grant.
Grant.
I did send this
This
out.
was sent out.
Yeah,
Any questions on it, anybody?
I think it's a good thing.
I think it is.
Yeah,
yes.
that's great thing. Debbie is very excited to be a part of it. Sadly, it was supposed to include Carberry and all North Cypress, and then with some kids, it's done at the university, and with some of the kids backing out of the program, they didn't have the bodies to cover, like, well, with Brookdale and such, that they were hoping to include all of it. So it's basically only within Carberry, but it's still great input to have to work with.
Yeah.
Yep. Thanks, Dallas. Any more questions, comments, anyone? All in favor? Opposed? Carried, thank you. Brookdale United Church sidewalk.
Did I send this out? Yes, I
Yes.
did,
Yep,
right?
you did.
You can talk.
I just saw John Lavitt the other day in passing, and he got talking about the sidewalk in front of the church in Brookdale, where they wanted to do some work to it.
This is the first time I
Okay,
was aware of
and
it, so.
He said he would send the information to us, so I said that was good. I asked him if he'd been talking to you. He said, no, he hadn't been talking to you, and I said, well. So he sent it out, and they were doing some work to, or want to do some work to the sidewalk. John will donate his time and labor, I think. And
Yeah, it
it's
does say that.
looking for us whether we will pay for the materials.
So they're just removing the old sidewalk
I think so,
and then
yeah.
putting new.
Yeah, because it's lower or something than the rest of it, it'll get in pretty bad shape.
This must have been brought up from the church board.
Oh.
Yeah,
Yeah, because it did go through me. I don't know.
yeah.
I wasn't aware of it.
I mean,
And it-
it's,
Just,
it wasn't on our list to do,
No, it
and that's
wasn't,
fine. I mean, it
like, we
obviously is
can
in bad
say
shape, but.
no to it if we want to,
Yeah.
we can say yes to it, we can.
Are they gonna do it this year or next? Probably next to
It's
this
Probably
year.
gonna be
have to.
next year now, I would
Yeah.
assume.
Yeah.
What I'm wondering, just for council, I mean, he's going to be donating the labor, so
Yeah.
I think that's good. But I'm wondering if we should just do our due diligence and get some other quotes.
I think we should,
I
yeah.
think so, because.
Just
Yeah.
because, you know, it's fair that way. I mean, I understand, but we didn't ask for this, so this is something that maybe the church wanted, I'm not sure, like what Grant said, but we should be coming next year. I can actually get Matt even to get
Look at it too.
some other companies to quote on a sidewalk, and then we can
Yeah.
budget it for next year.
And I'll take some pictures and send it to
Yeah,
the
sure.
church. just
Yep.
to-
If that's okay with everybody?
That's fine, just
I
do a bit of
think
I think
backtracking.
send it
Yeah,
back,
I just, I mean, I'm not saying not to accept it, I just think that we should,
Well,
We should do our due diligence and get a.
We
second.
do with everything else, so.
Well, we don't really need to with this because it's under the 5,000 mark, but it looks better if we do it.
Yeah, that's right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay, I'll handle that one
tell
then,
him,
thank you.
yeah. We'll get back to him either way, right?
Okay, Nothing added to the agenda? You got nothing more, Trish?
No, the only thing I was just gonna say is I don't have a resolution for the AMM convention. We normally pass the resolution that we go, so do you want me to add that on here?
It should be, yeah.
Okay, so it's Ray and, here, I'm just gonna do this real quick. Ray, me, and Dallas and Rob, as far as I know.
Yep.
I think the registration is closed. I know you talked to me about it, but I didn't hear back from you, so.
Yeah, I just, got
Okay.
so much going on.
That's okay, that's fair.
I can't get time off work.
That's okay, that's fair. Understood.
Yeah, and I don't know if I could last a whole day in there.
If you come over for a half a day, fine.
Yeah, I can come in and just
Yep,
visit,
you
but
can
I
come and
can't.
go and, yeah.
I'm just gonna write this out, cause anyway.
I've got my old lanyard, I can throw it on for the afternoon.
Pardon me?
The old name tag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it starts on the 28th
28th to the 30th.
to the 30th,
Yeah.
yeah. I gotta write this out because my computer is being stubborn. No, not Malcolm, Rob, jeez Louise.
Sitting in Rob's spot.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, that's why I'm confused. To attend the AMM convention, November 28th to the 30th in Brandon. And then further costs, I just said costs include mileage, meals, and hotel. Okay, I will read this out. Be it resolved that council approve Ray Drayson, Rob Van Homer, Dallas Olmsted, and Trish Fraser to attend the AMM convention on November 28th to the 30th in Brandon. Costs include mileage, meals, and hotel rates.
We have a mover, please.
Davidson.
Oh.
Davidson. There you go. Grant second, okay.
Okay.
Any questions? All in favor? Opposed? Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. I just caught that, so.
Alrighty. Nothing else, sir, for agenda and added?
No.
Communications, Bruce Plains, he was just here and gave us a good report. Carberry Minor Hockey, a thank you, yeah,
Yep.
good, thank you. RCA Museum. And Good
Third.
Roads. Introduction to the Municipal Relations Minister.
Yep.
And Ryland Sumner sent us a thank you for the
Yeah.
scholarship.
That was kind of nice.
Very good of him.
I did have an added correspondence that I would like to announce that we are the winner of the, so this is from Good Roads Association. We are the winner of the SMS Equipment LTD Shield for Most Improved Municipal Roads. So we will be presented an award at the upcoming AMM.
Good
Spring.
roads.
Yeah.
When's that?
April 9th. So,
Sure.
we need somebody to be the representative there to accept our award.
No little time to pick somebody.
Yeah. So I know you normally do
Oh,
go.
yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Is it for all of our roads? Or just
Well,
one?
it just must have been a select one.
Yeah, I don't, and I know they go around and they do assess them, but they rate
Yep.
them, but, yeah, anyway, I'll
Oh,
probably go
good.
with you if you're going by yourself, but,
Actually, we should send the form. You think about it, you
Yeah.
could be there too.
that's fine
Matt or
too.
one or two of the staff
Okay.
want her to go too, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I
They are
will,
the ones doing the work out there.
yeah, and
Good,
that was it,
thank you.
yep.
Alrighty, nothing more around there.
Nope.
Around the table. Grant.
I really don't have nothing other than, I'm still getting a few odd conversations about the beavers. I don't know if we're doing anything or not, but
I think the last, like when you asked last time, I believe that they were on private land, right?
that's correct.
Yeah.
So I think the understanding with that is if they do have some legit concerns, if they want to bring it to our attention,
Mhm.
and we normally don't act on them unless they're damaging our infrastructure.
That's right.
So
Yeah,
that was, I think that's where that ended.
That's where it is.
But if something in the meantime comes up and, find that they are doing some damage, let Matt know and then we can, because I know we have dealt with these issues before and they have been on private land. sewage
But
tank.
they've bothered our infrastructure.
Right,
That's why
yeah,
we
that's
do-
the
why we
key
do
thing
something.
there, Grant, is if,
Yeah,
unless
that's
they're,
what I
yeah,
should be
I've-
telling them.
yeah.
I've had that issue with them
And if they
many
want-
times before.
If you want, they can talk to, you can address it with me too, if they wanna
Right.
speak to me, I don't mind, that's fine.
And unless it's a designated watershed
Right.
drain, they don't maintain those either.
That's
If it's
right.
a natural course or private land, so.
And Brookdale had their fall supper, right?
Yes, they did. Yeah, they had 250 guests. It went over quite well.
Good.
Anything else there, Grant?
No, that's it.
I hear you're welding, are you welding some stuff?
Yes, I got all the materials, but I haven't, I'm gonna start like the.
I have
so-
signs here for the
Do you?
float they're in, yeah.
Okay. I'll
You can
take
look
it.
at them when we're done, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Jeremy,
December 2nd.
No, I haven't got anything.
welcome. Welcome back.
Thanks. And thank you to council for the Get Well basket. It was appreciated. Thank you. The only thing I got was I hit up a vet board meeting in Neepawa. Just to let council know, there's a grant out right now for the vet board to apply for up to $75,000 of large animal equipment. So as a board, we're looking to getting at it and getting some quotes to possibly add some outdoor cattle handling facilities to, just because it's so cramped inside the building now. The only other thing to mention was at the meeting, it's a recurring issue with the current building. The plumbing in it is back from the day it was built. A lot of it's actually the external plumbing and the sewage piping is actually cast iron in concrete. The board's probably going to have to be looking at replacing that in 4 to 5 years. With 5 partners in the vet board, we're discussing around our table to maybe at budget time, if we could start a fund at the board level and each council give $1,000 to $2,000 into that for sewage for replacement. In the future, the 2 options are, we're not sure if the town of Neepawa is going to extend the sewage pipes out there. Currently, I think it's around $30,000 to tie into the Neepawa sewage system. That's just there was just number one mentioned. I don't know the exact number. Or the current system that's at the vet clinic is a holding tank and field. And that's going to be expensive to replace. And the piping internal, all the concrete has to be busted up to replace the cast iron. Yeah, so we don't really know what it's going to cost, but it's going to have to be done 4 to 5 years. And we figured if each partner could chip in $2,000, that's $10,000 a year, 4 years. It should cover the funds rather than us having to come to council at that point
Right.
That's
requesting it.
a good idea.
Okay.
But
The building is owned by the vet board,
Yeah.
which is set up by the 5 municipalities, so we're part owners of it.
Right.
yes, and right now we do have the funds at the vet board level to cover the sewage replacement, but it would decimate our funds in the current building
Okay.
reserves. Just
And do
something
you
to-
have it in our budget, full, like in my 2024
Yeah, for that-
discussion?
But that's
For the reserve or
that's
the
our
fund.
amount there, but we're talking about an extra of $1,000 to $2,000.
Yeah.
And it depends on what the other councils all
Right.
agree on too,
Okay.
because it's gonna go back to their boards and they may only agree on 1,000.
Right.
And we're all gonna chip in the same amount.
Yeah.
Yep.
And to help build a reserve to replace this septic system.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
good idea there.
Other than that, not a heck of a lot. Just again, thank you for the gift basket and the thoughts. That was
I'm glad to
appreciated.
see you back.
Thank you. Carol?
Yeah, I was at the dump last week and we started a brand new compost heap for leaves and everything, grass clippings and that. And one of the things you cannot have in a compost heap is plastic.
Mm-hmm.
And you have a sign there saying all bags have to be dumped. Well, you know what?
Mhm.
There's a pile this high of people bringing in their leaves in
Yeah.
plastic bags and just tossing the bag and driving away.
Mm-hmm. That compost pile has been a headache for a long time.
And that,
If we're
can't
accept-
do that.
Yeah.
You can't have that.
Yeah.
You know, what,
We've talked about it several times, Harold, at our waste management meeting. I know we actually ended up pushing it back this year, like we did start it new and
thought we'd try it for this year, I believe, is what we discussed, but it might just be the fact that it might not be a compost pile anymore, and it might just have to be the fact that it'll be like grass clipping and like what it is right now, because nobody is monitoring it and nobody's turning it over. Like compost should be turned and whatnot, and it's not happening. And I don't know if it's going to happen. So we do have to discuss that at the next.
Is there not staff out there when people
There
are
is staff.
hauling this stuff there? I know it takes time to go and tell them, hey, I can't go in there like that, but
But I wonder if the compost term has now just turned into just organic waste, yeah.
And even if it's organic waste.
Well,
Still got plastic in it.
And unfortunately, we've been short employees as well, so nobody's technically looking at the loads coming in, and nobody's checking them, and maybe there's no direction on what they should and shouldn't be doing. There's a whole, but I'll bring that up at the next meeting again for discussion. But we have talked about it.
we've got cameras out there, we do not.
Yeah, but they're not facing that pile. They're just facing who's coming in.
Well, it should be showing who's coming in, and you should.
But how do you know who's dumping in there though?
Yeah.
You can't see. So anyway, I'll bring that up though again and see. But it has come up at our meetings. I think Grant and Ray are on those ones. So.
Okay, good.
Grant's
Thank
pointing.
you.
Just one little thing, the Carberry North Cypress-Langford Fireman's Ball is on December 2nd, and it's cocktails are at 6 and dinner at 7. Now, last year we bought a table, didn't we?
Well, I was going to discuss that so I mean, we talked about last year buying a table. We never did. But it is on the table. I mean, if you guys think if we wanted to get a table and you guys wanted to go, that's perfect. If there's not enough, then we won't bother. But I don't know if anybody's interested in
Let's
going.
continue on around and finish what we started here.
I'll mention that, Grant. But yeah, that's good. Thank you.
The other thing I will point out is the Exit Stage Left Theater Group is having their play the first weekend of April. And this year we have teamed up with the high school graduating class, and we'll be putting on 2 dinner theaters.
Okay.
It'll be a fundraiser for them as well.
Okay. Good.
The play is called Who Poisoned His Meatball, and guess what the main dish will be?
Meatball.
Hamburger. Anything else, Harold?
No, that's not good.
Dallas, go ahead. You got anything to report there, Dallas?
Yes, please.
Go ahead.
From the library committee, we are looking to finalize our budget this next meeting, next week. And as of right now, the proposed levy is $37,609, quite similar to last year. And for our committee, handmade market is going to be this Saturday at the hall. And I want to send a congrats to the Future Rec Development Committee for another hugely successful event at their haunted hat auction last week. And I think that's it.
Awesome.
Great. Thank you, Dallas. Myself, I did the Remembrance Service in Nipa the other day. Dallas, you did Carberry here. Thank you very much.
Yes, I did Carberry, and hats off. It was a absolutely phenomenal event.
Same here. Well attended, which is really nice to see after COVID and all that getting going again. Other than that, just the roads are getting better every day here right now, so thank you. Trish, what's your list here?
I don't know if you want to hear mine. I've just a couple things. Okay, so I have drafted a request for proposal for our garbage collection. I think I indicated that in an email. So that should be coming out soon. So there's a few RFPs out right now. So there's the RFP for the garbage, which will be out soon. The ones that are out right now is for the doctor recruitment for our hospital here in Carberry. There was an RFP out for our new handy van, which it closed Friday. I believe we got one in, and then I also have a RFP out for stockpiling gravel that was screened up in the north pit. So that's due at the end of this week. AMM convention is the 28th to the 30th, which I mentioned there. Everybody's statement of assets and interests are due at the end of the month, so if you could please hand those in to me. I do have a couple here, but they are due, and I will keep reminding if I don't get them. Christmas party parade. So we've got our staff party coming up on the 24th, and then the parade is on the 2nd of December. I know we have a float. It would be nice to know who would be participating in the float. I don't know who is in Nipowa parade though, like who normally, do we just put the grader in or we do our float
No, we
in?
take a float all the
Okay.
time, yeah.
The float.
So I'll maybe
Take the
leave
float
that up to
and
council to figure out for
who's
Nipowa,
going
and
where. Yep.
I know that some of this, like our staff here, we can ride in Carberry or Nipowa, doesn't matter, but we just need to organize that a little
We
bit.
can do both, yeah.
Hall
Yeah, the kids
generator.
always came in, right? Are you around this year or not?
We had Robert last year on one, the other kids are all on different
Yeah,
floats.
that's
Yeah.
true too. Nope.
4-H and scouts and different things.
Whoever can show up and help up there, be great.
Yeah. Okay. I know we do put a grader in too, right? Or we
Yeah,
have.
if they can, if Matt can get somebody
Okay,
to
I'll
take
ask
a grader
Matt.
in, that's good, yeah. What is it, the fifth wheel or just the bumper hitch trailer?
We
That's
took,
the fifth wheel.
we took the fifth wheel last
Fifth wheel,
time.
yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Just let me know if you need my truck.
Well, no, it'll be hooked on to mine, Malcolm.
This year? Perfect, no, that's fine.
Yeah, you gotta ride with me because you got your full plus one and I just got one.
Now we're gonna take a different truck.
The hall generator, so we have the generator here for the hall, so the hall is our designated spot for emergencies. So we bought the generator and it is here. The cement pad is going to be poured, and I think it might be soon anyway, or it is. But the generator probably won't go up until the next, like we have to get the pad poured first before the generator goes on. So it is here, everything's kind of getting in line, it just is taking a little bit longer than expected. There's approvals that have to go through for hydro, for gas meter, and there's the whole
Well,
story
and
to
I
it,
made the
so-
comment there, like, with the cement, if it's gonna freeze sometime, make sure it's done right.
Mhm.
Because if you're gonna, well, I think we can put a heater in, well, do it right, otherwise it's gonna
Yeah.
cost a lot more in the future.
Mhm.
We should have had the cement poured
It should have been
way
done now.
earlier
in time
on.
ago.
I think it's just a matter, it just kind of fell on the wayside,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, we should have been like
So,
last year.
anyway, just letting you know.
Yeah.
So I do have insurance assessment. Okay, so I was gonna discuss this a little bit. So we had Western Financial Group come around to all of our buildings and do an assessment on them and let us know if everything's good or not. And I did have just a couple of things on our shop. So we have one gas tank at the Carberry shop that needs to be double walled, and it's not. So it's either we get a new tank or we just get cards for the guys to fill up either Petro or Esso. I'm getting prices for both, but I think it would be a lot cheaper to do it that way than rather getting a new gas tank because they don't.
That's for the gas,
For
for
the
the
gas,
trucks, it's
yeah.
not the fuel
It's
for
not
the
for,
graders.
yeah, so we have a diesel tank at the shop, and a gas tank, but the diesel for sure is good, it's double walled, it's fine. The only one is the gas tank. And the diesel tank also up in Langford needs to be double walled too. So Matt's got a couple quotes on those, for $4,500
Yeah.
to get a new one.
Yeah.
So anyway, I will discuss this a bit more at our next Public Works, but I'm just letting you know that they kind of came back with a couple of suggestions. I know one actually at this Brookdale shop, the school division has a gas tank or a diesel tank, I believe, that's been there for years.
Mhm.
So we've let them know because it is on our property.
Yeah.
They just had it there, so they are aware. Yeah, so just so you know, I'm looking at prices for gas through Petro and Esso to see what is the best. We might as well try local and see what we can do, but I'm going through the canoe, what's it called?
Canoe
Yeah.
procurement.
Yeah. So that's done. What else did I have? Oh, my notes are all scattered. Hang on, sorry.
The only thing about, I have concern about going to the places and filling it up with a card is who has the card and accountability for everybody.
Well, we'll make sure
Only
that
one card or
we had
whatever.
cards before,
Yep,
and we could see if it's sign off and
Yep.
sign off on the truck and whatnot, so they're responsible for it.
yep.
I had the Space Woods Colony Lagoon, but we already talked about that. Fireman's Ball, again, like Grant said, it is December 2nd. Somebody needs to be present that day to bring greetings from the RM, so I don't know, Ray, if you want to be there.
I won't be around there that weekend.
And,
I'll
or
be here for
Dallas,
the
if
parade, but
somebody
after that,
could do some greetings from the RM.
I think both Robbie and I usually attend, so I did last year, so,
Okay.
unless, Grant, if you want to, because you're on the committee, or...
Are you gonna be there, Robbie?
I am.
Or Grant?
I haven't planned on being.
Being on the fire committee.
Okay, Grant just said he hadn't planned on being there, but,
Okay.
so that kind of brings up the discussion, do you guys, would you be interested in buying a table, or is there not enough interest to go?
I won't
Okay,
be there.
that's fair. Okay,
I don't have a problem with buying a table or half a table for us anyway, for them, yeah.
okay. I'll get, it's $50 a person, and there's 8 at a table. So, if we can't get enough, then we might as well not bother, but,
What's everybody else think?
This is when Tracy's working.
yeah, okay.
What night is it?
December 2nd, it's on a
It's
Saturday.
night.
It's
after
the same
parade-
day as our parade
Parade
and
and
stuff.
everything else, yeah.
Yeah.
But, I
We'll
kind
talk
of am
about
getting
that maybe
crickets, so
in
maybe not.
camera. Pardon me?
Okay, no, it's okay, we can talk about it later, yeah.
We'll talk about it a little
Okay.
more down the road here, okay?
Okay, sorry, one more thing. I'm just bringing this up on behalf of Rob because he cannot be here. So it's in regards to underground, well, our directional boring for irrigation lines. I'll just read out his email here. So he wants us to add this on the agenda since it's got out to the farmers world regarding South Cypress removing underground pushing for hydro and water lines and going back to the open cuts on certain roads. I've been involved in lots of conversations about why North Cypress is following suit. My belief is that there still needs to be roads that this still would be required, but low volume roads shouldn't need this stipulation. If both the contractors and farmers understood more on how to replace the open cut, paid for some extra grading, and also a semi of gravel, there shouldn't be any reason we couldn't implement the same rules here. Basically, I believe it's having a 2-year trial done to see if anyone can follow new guidelines in South Cypress. There are farmers prepared to come to council in December in numbers to push the point. So he just wanted to bring that up. I know it was mentioned, I think last meeting too, but and then he just talks about maybe saving them some money. But I know that is in our policy that they directional borrow, so.
Isn't it on back roads still allowed to do open cut? Like
Yeah.
on non-maintained?
Yes.
Yeah, machinery roads are still open cut.
Don't like changing things midstream here because we've made people directional bore before.
Yeah.
And now you're gonna change your rules. I don't like that.
No,
So-
but I think it's just in our rules now
Okay,
that,
yeah.
that, I think it is that machinery roads are open cut.
Get John Adrianson, we let him dig across.
Yeah.
that.
Yes.
If it's a non-maintained road,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay, so maybe just clarification on
it might be,
that.
Yeah,
because I'm pretty sure you can
I think
do that.
somewhere down the line it's got, yeah, there's some sort of miscommunication on that, because I know South Cypress, they were just, it was more, I think, open cut one, like the back roads. I don't think that they started at the main line ones doing that, but I'll talk to South Cypress and just
Yeah.
clarify that too.
I think,
But if they
Yeah.
see
I
that,
think we've already got that in ours.
yeah, yeah, I'll have to look, anyway, he just wanted to bring it up, he's not here, so I thought
Yep.
I'd mention it, so. And I think that's all I have.
alrighty, thank you. In camera, resolution 293, 2023, be it resolved that council as a committee of the whole move into in camera to discuss personnel matters. Can I have a mover, please?
Right.
Grant, seconder,
Dallas?
Dallas, all in favor? Opposed? Carried, thank you.